Great. So feet and ankles today, and what I would invite you to do is just lie on your back, and you could either take your legs long. I'll guide in a minute. I'm going to read a poem to you, but you could take your legs long and take the shavasana position. So let your feet fall out to the sides. Relax your arms alongside your body. And just bring your awareness to your feet. And if this is uncomfortable for any reason, bring the soles of your feet to the floor, wider than your hips, and let your knees rest together. Either one of those will do. And then bring your attention to your feet. Perhaps just to think about your feet, honor your feet, celebrate your feet. Or to just be aware of the anatomically what's happening with your feet. If you're in the shavasana pose, does one foot sort of fall out more than the other? You don't have to change anything, just bring some awareness. Is the center of your heel resting on the floor, or is one foot resting on the outside of the heel or the inside of the heel more? Just some awareness. Blessed are the feet that feel the solace, healing and underlying meaning pushing through the forest floor. Blessed are the feet that feel the solace, healing and underlying meaning pushing through the forest floor. Blessed are the feet bare and kissing the moistened soil, rediscovering their lover, the ground cover, home once again. Blessed are the feet fully alive, fully awake, fully aware, rewilding their souls. Blessed are the feet rooting deep, breathing with the earth, beckoning acceptance and connection once again. Blessed are the feet celebrating being felt. Blessed are the feet celebrating being felt, rejoicing in reunion with the earth. Blessed are the feet returning home, walking their truth, dancing their purpose, the sacred path once again. Okay. Set my stuff up here so I'm all ready. And if you're not in the shavasana position, go ahead and stretch your legs long. Take your arms out to the side. And then just let your feet move back and forth like windshield wipers. Just feel the articulation through your ankles, letting your feet move back and forth. And you might just settle into a nice breathing pattern here as well. And then bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet to the floor. Take your feet as wide as your hips or wider. And then just let your knees move back and forth. And as you do so, remain connected to the floor with either the inside edge of your foot or the outside edge of your foot. So as you move your knees to the left, outside edge of the foot will stay connected to the floor, and inside edge of the right foot will stay connected to the floor. And then as you move to the right, outside edge of the right foot, inside edge of the left foot. So as you move back and forth, slightly pull your toes back towards your shins as you do this. So here we are, just moving through the feet, but also we're moving through our pelvis, feeling where we are this morning in our pelvis or low back. Keep some brightness in your feet. I'll refer to brightness in the feet, and that means that the toes are spread and they're kind of pulling back a little bit towards your shins. Yeah. Okay, and then coming back, just you can stack your knees over um, your hips and press your feet into an imaginary wall. So you're pulling the toes back towards the shins. Okay, lower legs are kind of perpendicular or parallel to the floor. And now engage your core, so draw upstroke the navel. And if you look at your feet, if you take a look at your feet, is the pinky toe side edge pulling back just as strongly as the big toe side? Yeah, that's what you want. So you want an evenness, as if you were standing on the ground with your feet, but they're in this position with the knees bent. And then you might just take a few pelvic tilts here. So leave the attention of the feet and just move the pubic bone away from the navel, pubic bone back towards the navel. Right? Great. And then from here, take your legs straight up towards the ceiling. The legs don't have to be straight. If your hamstrings are tight, that's fine. They could be moved away a bit. You might support yourself by taking your hands to your hamstrings. And then just make some circles with your feet. So moving through the ankles, circles in one direction. Yes, I got brave today. I have shorts on. So you had a better visual of feet and ankles. Yeah. And then circle the other direction. Good. And then rest your soles of your feet back to the floor. Press into the soles of your feet. Feel the whole sole of your foot on the floor. And just press into your foot and just lift your hips just, 4 inches off the floor. And then set your hips back down. And then feel the whole sole of your foot pressing into the floor, and press into your feet and lift your hips just a little bit higher, maybe 6 inches, and then lower back down. And then we'll continue to do that. So even though the focus is on feet, you'll find us doing lots of familiar movements and shapes and postures. So we're still using this time to scan through the rest of the body. Feel the evenness of your feet as you press through your feet and lift. Maybe now you're up, you've got the whole mid-back off the floor, and then exhale, roll everything back down. And notice, take your awareness back to your feet and notice if maybe you turn your feet in or out. So we want this evenness through the feet, and we're pressing into the heels and into the toe mounds, the big toe mound, the little pinky toe mound as we lift. And you don't have to go into a full bridge here, just pressing, lifting, and then rolling back down as you warm up the spine a little bit. Great. Now you'll need your strap. And you're going to take your strap and you're going to take it around the heel of one foot. Doesn't matter which one, but around the heel. If the other leg can be on the ground long, that's fine. If that's painful for you, just bend your knee slightly and rest the sole of your foot on the floor. Good. So really, really make an effort to do this exactly as described. Great. Now, pull your toes back towards your shins. So flexion at the ankle. You're flexing the ankle, and you're holding the strap, one side of the strap in each hand. Great. Now look at your foot and look at the evenness. Is the pinky toe side pulled back as much as the big toe side? So generally, we'll pull the one side back stronger than the other. So keep pulling back. Now, from here, don't point your toes really. Don't curl your toes, but point the ball of your big toe and the ball of your pinky toe. You're gonna press that away from you as you extend at the ankle. So the toes are still kind of pulling back towards the shins, but you're pressing through the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound all along the metatarsal arch. Now from here, extend your toes long. So extend your toes up towards the ceiling. Ah, very different, right? Now pull your toes back only towards your shins, okay? And then flex your ankle and pull everything back towards your shins. Great, we're gonna do that a couple of times. So now we have the ankle flex, press through the big toe mound, like you're trying to press your big toe mound onto the ceiling, pinky toe mound. So now reach the toes long. See if you can reach the toes long and separate them. It's actually quite a bit of work. Yeah, and then pull the toes back towards the shins, just the toes, and then flex at the ankle. Right, one more time, and you feel this. If you're giving it about 50% effort or so, you'll feel a stretch in the calf. Great. Now press through the big toe mound. Start to straighten at the ankle. Toes are pulled back slightly, and then spread the toes long and wide. Woo! Right. And then release the effort there and just slip your other foot into the strap and take that foot to the floor. So the strap is not on the arch, it's on the heel bone. Draw your toes back towards your shins, flex at the ankle. Notice whether you have an evenness through your foot. Great. Now press your big toe mound away, your pinky toe mound away as you start to extend through the ankle. And then stretch the toes apart and away. Pull your toes back, flex the toes slightly, the ankle is still extended, and now flex through the ankle. Great, we'll try it again. Straighten the ankle so you're pressing the big toe mounds towards the ceiling, then straighten the toes and separate them as much as possible. So this articulation is important for walking, dancing, yoga. Good. Pull the toes back towards the shins, ankle is still extended, then flex at the ankle and feel that stretch in your calf. Good. Now extend the ankle, ball of the big toe ball mound and the pinky toe ball mound, reaching towards the ceiling, and then reach the toes long. Stretch the toes long, stretch them away. Woo! Yeah. And then release. Take the strap, set it over to the side for a minute, rest your legs. Great, and then bring your legs back up. Legs don't have to be straight, just bring your feet up towards the ceiling. Now, turn the soles of your feet to face each other. That's called inversion. And then turn the soles of your feet out away from each other, eversion. So soles of the feet towards one another, like you could clap your hands or do a namaste with your feet, and then turn the soles of the feet away. So inversion, eversion, inversion, eversion. A few times, just like that. Feel that work in the ankles. And then coming back to center now. And again, you can always support your legs with your hands behind your legs, but now with your feet up towards the ceiling, just relax. See if you can spread your toes apart so you can see daylight between each toe. Daylight between each toe. Yeah. And then release, shake that up. We're gonna cross at the ankles now and rock ourselves up to a seat. And here you might, if you are tighter in your hips or your hamstrings, you could get that blanket set up and you could bring your sit bones onto the blanket. Okay, so whatever you need to do for a Dandasana here. So in your Dandasana, go ahead and internally rotate the thighs. Okay, and so you're evenly sitting on your hips, and then pull your toes back towards your shins, so flexing at the ankles. Same as we did on our back. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna press the ball of the foot, and you could do this both feet at the same time, or you could do it one at a time. Press the ball of the foot as you start to straighten through the ankle. Press the ball of your foot first, and then reach the toes long. And I think I'll turn and face you a little bit so that maybe you get a better visual. So I've got my ankles flexed and then my toes pulling back towards my ankles. And then I'm gonna press through the ball of my foot, or both feet if you're doing both feet at the same time, and then extend the toes. Whew. And then I'm gonna bring the toes back, and then I'm gonna flex at my ankles again, bring everything back. All right, and you can do that a couple times. So as you start to extend the ankles, it's pressing through the balls of the feet and then extending the toes. And see when you extend the toes if you can get some space between your toes. One of my right foot does it beautifully and my left foot just doesn't want to cooperate. Yeah, so we'll just do that a few times. And you could try doing one foot at a time and the other foot doing the opposite. So you could start with everything extended on one foot and everything flexed on the other foot. And you can move from one position to the other, one foot going in one direction and one foot going in the other. So good brain work if you need to wake up this morning. Good brain work going back and forth between the 2 feet. Yeah. Ooh. Very nice. Good. Great. And then I'll turn even a little bit more here. So now with your, in that Dandasana, same position, press your big toes towards away. So stretch your big toes out, but leave all 8 toes flexed back. And then come back and press 8 toes away. Try to, and pull your big toes back. So you're going to go back and forth with that. Big toe reaches away, 8 toes stay flexed or come back towards your ankles, and then the opposite. Yes. Back and forth a few times. Woo. See if you can spread the toes as you do this. Yep, good. And then from here, we're going to go to Baddha Konasana. So if you need to take your blocks and rest your knees on your blocks in your Baddha Konasana. All right, so you're supporting here because we're focusing on the feet more than opening the inner groin, even though that will happen. And if you're like me and you have a lot of availability in your hips, then you'll be able to come right down to the floor. Press your feet in towards one another. Press your feet in towards one another. Yeah. Feel the center of your heel pressing together, the center of your heels pressing together, and feel all through the metatarsal arch pressing together. Great. Now, if you're able to, if you're pretty open like I am here, you could try to take your feet and turn do the eversion. So you're turning the feet away, so the soles of your feet are up. So the soles of my feet, I'm looking at the soles of my feet as I bring my feet into that eversion position. Great. And then relax that. Come on back to your mat and come to tabletop real quick. Now you'll want your blanket handy for the next couple of things. Okay, so we're going to come to tabletop and we're going to take the tops of our feet to the floor, to the blanket or the floor, whatever works for you. Bring your ankles together, bring your knees together, and then you're going to sit back on your heels. Sit back on your heels. Now, option, if anyone would like to, if this feels pretty doable for you, you could take your strap and you can strap your ankles. And I'll demonstrate here. So I've got my ankles, I've got this strap around my ankles with the buckle at the back so I don't pinch my skin in any way, okay? So I'll keep myself with the strap and I'll come back to tops of the feet either on the floor or on the blanket. And the purpose of the strap is to keep my ankles from separating. And then I sit back on my heels. Now, when I practiced this a little bit earlier, I was like, I don't need the strap. It won't make any difference for me. I keep my ankles together. And then when I strapped my ankles up, I was like, yeah, I do separate my ankles. So I feel this is a lot more work for me with the ankle strap. So if you'd like to try that, you can try that. So we're hanging out here, hips on heels, and we're stretching the tops of our feet. It might get a little uncomfortable, so I'm going to keep talking to you for a couple of minutes. And you could take your focus somewhere else. Now, we want an evenness through the feet. So I'm turning to face you. We want the ankles together and pressing evenly across the whole tops of the feet. Evenly across the whole tops of the feet. Good. And at any time that you need to be finished, you can be finished with that, but we'll sit maybe for 3 more breaths. Great, and then I'm going to rock forward onto my hands. And because I'm near the blanket, I'm going to scoot away. And now I'm going to turn my toes under. With or without the strap, turning all 10 toes under if I can, if possible, all 10 toes under. And then I'm going to sit back on my heels. Maybe I stay right here with my hands forward, and maybe I can come up to sitting on my heels. I'm barely putting any weight on my heels. This is quite a painful stretch for me, and I've had some plantar fasciitis problems because my bottoms of my feet are very tight and the toes are tight. So I'm going to come forward and just reposition my toes a little bit, get an evenness through my toes. Woo. And yeah, this is a lot of work. Stretching, opening up the bottoms of the feet now. And we'll take 3 more breaths here. You can always come forward if it's too much and just keep the toes turned under slightly. Well, they're completely turned under, but your weight is forward. Good. Then come forward onto your hands. And if you've got your feet in the strap, you'll have to sort of do a mermaid tap, both feet together. And if you have your feet out of the strap, you can probably alternate feet. Very good. Great. And then Take your feet over to one side and remove the strap if you have the strap on. Okay, take the strap over to the side somewhere. And then we'll come to a seat, and you might need to sit up on a blanket if you're a little tighter in the hips, or a block. And we'll take one foot. You can rest your ankle on your knee, and we're going to interlace our hands, our fingers in our toes. So bring your pinky finger between the pinky toe and the fourth toe, and then so on and so forth till you lace up. You'll have your index finger between your big toe and your second toe. And see if you can get your fingers all the way down in the webbing. All the way down in the webbing. Okay? So you know a true yogi when somebody sits around like this, right? With their fingers interlaced in their hands. And then you could take the other hand and sort of rub, give yourself a little massage on the bottom of your foot, the plantar fascia. But see if you can squeeze your fingers with your toes. Squeeze your fingers with your toes, and then press against, try to open up your hand and press against your toes with your fingers. And squeeze your fingers with your toes. And open up. Yeah, good. And then from here, you're going to start to slide your fingers out, but you're going to take your fingers, well, you might have to take your fingers all the way out. Take your fingertip and take it down in between the spaces of your feet, of your toes rather, and press on that space with your finger tips, your finger pads. So you're pressing on. There's a whole bunch of nerve endings in the feet, right? The feet are amazing, actually. And just press on those and then release. And then we'll take the other side, the other foot. So again, interlacing, and you might have to encourage your toes to separate, right? But, oops, I gotta get in between those. Just interlacing fingers between the toes. See if you can get all the way into the webbing of your toes. One of my first classes I ever took, it's actually how I chose my teacher that I work with. I took a class with T.S. Little on feet. And I've always had some feet issues. So now you're down in the webbing, and maybe you can massage with both the thumb of your finger that's connected to your foot and the other one. You can massage through your plantar fasciitis, your plantar fascia. And then you can do that same action of squeezing the toes on the fingers and then pressing against, trying to open your hand and squeezing. So I went to this class. I was curious because I've had foot stuff, I think, my whole life. And it was a fascinating class, and I ended up choosing this teacher to study with. But, you know, who thought feet? I was like, feet. Anyway. Okay, release. Great. Now, set your blanket up at the back of your mat, because you're going to need that for your downward facing dog. And then come back to all fours, to table, and we'll run through some cat-cows, engaging the feet as well. So knees underneath hips and hands underneath shoulders, or a little forward. Great. And on your first inhale, as you draw your chest forward and let your belly move towards the floor, turn your toes under as well. See if you can get all 10 toes under. And then as you exhale and round and press into your hands around your back, take the tops of your feet to the floor. So warming up the spine, but adding the feet. Inhale, the toes turn under, and exhale, the tops of the feet press to the floor. Okay, just a few rounds like that. And then the next time you're in the cow position, have your feet in such a way that you can, as you set back into downward facing dog, your heels will come to the blanket. So your toes are turned under and you'll press into your hands, lift your knees, draw your hips back, and then rest your heels on your blanket in downward facing dog. Great. All right, so now with your heels on your blanket, can you lift all 10 toes, including the pinky toe? Ah, good. And if you cannot lift them off the floor, intend to lift them off the floor. And then set your big toes down, just your big toes if you can. And then the rest of your toes. Great. And then lift all 10 toes off the floor again. And if the toes don't move, that's not a big deal. Just intend it. Close your eyes and see it happening in your mind's eye. Now, I think this is easier with the eyes closed. We're going to go one toe at a time. So big toes go down first, then the second toe, third toe, ring toe, pinky toe. Pick up pinky toe, pick up ring toe, pick up third toe, second toe, pick up big toe. Ah, very good. Now, press all 10 toes into the floor and lift your heels as high as possible. Lift your heels as high as possible. Swivel your heels to the left. Feel the opening through right side body, side waist, shoulder, through the whole side flank, and a stretch in your calves. Come back to center, way, way, way up on your toes. You might have to reposition your feet, and then swivel and set your heels down to the right. Feel an opening through right side body. Keep equal pressure in your hands. Good. Swivel back to the center. Great. Now, you're up on your toes. Your heels are lifted. Bend your right knee and set your left heel down. Press back up. Lift both heels. Bend your left knee deeply and set your right heel down. And then just move back and forth. We do this a lot, but I want you to go a little bit slower and really feel articulating through the toes, the front of the foot. Front of the foot is broad and wide. And we're doing just what we did when we were on the ground, on the floor, lying on our backs, with the articulation through the whole foot. Yeah, very good. And then come back to just heels on the blanket. Look up at your hands and slowly walk. Feel the articulation through your feet as you slowly walk up to your hands and come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Knees can be bent. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. So reach your spine, lengthen through the spine, reach the crown of the head long, and then exhale, fold again. Now, if you've got blocks here, you could use the blocks. You could have the block, one block out in front, 2 blocks out in front, just to help you in this forward fold, because it's not about the fold as much as the feet now. So now in your forward fold, feel through, weight through the metatarsal arch, under the big toe mound, under the pinky toe mound, and feel equal weight in your heels. Lift all 10 toes. Set your big toes down. And then slowly set all the other toes down. Leave your big toe down and reach the 8 toes up. Ooh, that's a little bit harder for me. Big toes stay down, rest of the toes come up. You can take a moment to feel where that affects other places in your legs. I feel that in my calf muscles. And then set all 10 toes down. Great. From here, we want to fingertips into the floor, reach through your crown, and then take your hands to your hips. Spike your heels down. Feel like you're spiking your heels down and hinge up at the waist. Very good. Take your time in Tadasana. And now in Tadasana, I'm going to move away for a little bit better visual. In your Tadasana, come forward onto your toes, weight onto the toes, weight onto the heels, and find neutral. Find neutral. Great. Now, find the inside of your foot. So weight on the inside of the foot more, find the outside of the foot, and then find neutral. And that might be a moment of reckoning, like, oh, I tend to put the weight on the inside of my foot or the outside. I think outside might be a little bit more common, but we either pronate, weight on the inside of the feet, or supinate, weight on the outside of the feet. Now, in your Tadasana, with your ankles, just your ankles, you're going to move your ankles side to side. You're just going to move to the right and the left with your ankles. So just in the ankles, if you can, very subtle, moving side to side with the ankles. Yeah. Good. Great. Now, grab your block or your book, and we're going to feel that movement in the ankle when we're trying to balance, right? So I'm going to take my right foot, firmly set it on the block, and stand up. Move back a little bit for you. And I'm going to firmly stand up, pull that hip in, really tighten that leg, and then I'm going to bring the other foot to hover. Toes pulled back towards shins, as if I'm standing on another block. And your ankle is probably doing a lot of work right now on the block, the leg that's standing on the block. So we're just hovering the other foot, right? You could stay and do this hover, or you could rest your left foot on your right foot in tree. Or you could bring the left leg up and externally rotate that thigh and press your foot into your calf, calf back into foot in tree here. And your standing leg is probably, that ankle is probably working very hard. That's good. That's what we want. Great. And then we'll release. And you might need to move your hips a little bit, just get that tension out. And then we'll try the other side. So again, a hard book would work here. Left foot steps onto the book or block, and as you step up, really pull muscle to bone, pull the right buttocks in, really pull that hip in, and then it's as if you're standing on a block with your left foot, but you're hovering that foot in space. Hovering that foot in space. Yeah, you could stay right here, or you could rest your foot, right foot on left foot. Or you could bring the leg up, externally rotate that thigh. Whoa, falling is legal. And come into Vrksasana tree. Pressing your foot into your calf or your thigh. You can have it up against your thigh. And pressing back. And the ankle, again, working here, working here, working here. Trying to keep you steady. Yeah, great. And then step off your block or book. You can push that over to the side for a minute. Maybe work the hips a little bit here, shake out the legs. And then you'll need a wall space. It can be a door frame, or it could even be the top of the back of a chair. Okay, something that you can just balance, help you with your balance. And if you don't have anything, that's fine. You could try this without that. I'm going to take either, you could play around with how much you want to use here, all 5 finger pads up against the wall, or 1 finger, okay? And then I'm going to come up onto my toes, lifting my heels as high as possible, And then I'm going to lift my inside foot off the floor. And then I'm going to lower my heel, extend back up. Lower the heel, extend back up. And you can do anywhere from 5 to 50, up to you. I'm going climbing tomorrow, so I'm only going to do a few. Press up. See if you can get the same height that you had when you were up on your toes with both feet. Feel the work. You can feel the work. It starts in the feet, but it comes all the way up through your leg. There's a lot of work happening. Good. All right, and come back to this if you like it. We'll take the other side. So either all 5 finger pads into the wall or just 1 finger. Press yourself up. Lift your heels as high as possible. Now lift the inside foot. And then with that outside foot, we're going to touch the heel down, press back up, see if you can get the same height, and repeat. Yeah. Woo. Press back up, keeping the hips pretty square here as much as possible. If you fall out, just start over. Up and down. And again, as many times as you like. You can come back to revisit this. Great. Very good. And can you tell if you're pressing evenly on your feet, evenly through the feet, or if you're skewed to one side or the other? Great. Take a rest here, and now come to the top of your mat. I'm just going to move my setup so you can see me. Come to the top of your mat in Tadasana. Feel the evenness of your feet in your Tadasana here. So our weight is neither too forward or too back. And it's evenly through the sides of our feet, so not too much to the inside or too much to the outside. Great. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, bend at the waist and fold. Take your hands to the mat. Inhale, hands to the shins, the front of the shins or the mat. Reaching the spine long, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, fold. Take your hands to the mat and step your feet back with intention to downward facing dog. Maybe you still have the blanket in place there. If you want to reach your heels down onto the blanket in your downward facing dog. Good. And then inhale the right leg out or the left leg back, either leg, just reach out behind you. And then on your exhale, draw round through the back, draw that knee in towards your nose, and then place it between your hands. Good. All right. So I'm in a high lunge here. All right. And now looking down at the foot between your hands, lift all 5 toes. Hopefully you don't have 10 toes on your foot. But Tommy Tribone, my neighbor, had 6 on each foot. And then set your big toe down. Set the other 4 toes down. Spread through the front of your foot. Very good. And then with your feet, your front foot firmly planted, take your hands to your thigh and press yourself up, crescent lunge. Lift the back heel as high as possible. Back heel lifts, back hamstring lifts towards the ceiling. Inhale to reach the arms up. Good. Now you're going to spin the back foot and place that heel down. So now I'm in more of a warrior two position. You might have to extend your legs away from one another. Bend through your back leg and press the whole sole of your back foot down into the mat. Then re-extend the back leg. Re-extend the back leg. Straighten the front leg. Draw your feet towards one another isometrically. Reach the front side body, left side body, out, 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 out. And then rest your hand on your thigh or your shin. Okay, so now we're in the triangle position. Top hand to the hip. Press the front big toe mound down into the floor. Externally rotate the front thigh. So the front thigh is externally rotating, but the bottom part of the leg is internally rotating. And we get that to happen by pressing the big toe mound down, down, down into the floor, right? And then the back heel is tacked to the floor in the back. Good, you could stack your arms here if you wanted to in your triangle. Good. Feel the energy from the feet all the way through the legs into the hips. And then bending at with the front leg, you can come back up, turn the back foot back into and drop back into this crescent lunge. So lift the back heel, lift the back thigh, press firmly into the front foot. Good. And then coming forward, you're going to bring your hands back down to the floor. Take your back foot one hop. Press through the front leg and lift the back leg. Now, pull your toes, the leg that's lifted, pull the toes back towards the shins and press through that heel as if you were standing on the floor. And then both feet together. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, exhale, fold. Press into your feet, particularly spike the heels down as you come up, hinging at the waist, arms up, and exhale, hands through heart center, coming back to Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up, and exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Really connect to your feet. Exhale, fold, plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. Very good. Now pull muscle onto bone. You can have the heels lifted here. You can have the heels reaching towards the floor. And inhale, opposite leg up and back. And then on your exhale, squeeze your knee in towards your nose. You might need to tent your fingers here to get that foot to come forward. And you're in your lunge. You're in your low lunge. Good. Now in the lunge, look down at the front foot, lift 5 toes up. And here you might try setting down one at a time. You could go pinky side to big toe side, and then lift one at a time back up, and then set down big toe side. Ooh, that's a bit harder. Big toe side down all the way through to pinky toe side. Yeah, good. Take your hands to your thigh and press yourself up, crescent lunge. Lift the back heel, lift the back leg up towards the ceiling, and inhale the arms up. Reach through the fingertips. Feel the strength of your feet. Now we're going to turn again to open up into the warrior 2 feet. So you'll spin your back foot and set your heel down. Good. Bend the back knee. Bend the back knee so you can get your whole, if you need to rearrange your feet, that's legal. Bend your back knee and get the whole sole of your back foot to be in contact with the earth, and then straighten the back leg, straighten the front leg. Here we are, back in triangle. Arms can be, let's start with the arms at the hips. Now the back foot, I like the heel turned out a bit, so a little bit of an angle on that back foot. Good. Front leg, in external rotation of the thigh, moving out to the outside, but lower leg, press into the big toe mound. So you're really pressing evenly into that front foot. There's our triangle. And then we could reach the side, the right arm forward, side body reaches forward, and we come down either to the shin or the thigh. Top hand can live at your hip, or you could reach it up, stacking shoulders. Feel the work of the feet. Feel the work of the feet. Good. Relax your neck, relax your head. To come out, we'll simply bend the front leg and sweep back through warrior two, and then we'll bring both feet to be parallel to one another. Good. Parallel to one another, wide stance. Great. Now pick up your heels and feel the weight forward in your toes more, and then rock yourself back. Put the weight in your heels and pick up your toes. Be careful. You know, it's just a little movement, just feeling weight forward and weight back. Great. And then pick up your toes, or pick up your heels and move them in so that you're in the goddess position. So there we go, just like so. Yeah. Great. And then we'll extend through the legs. And we'll move back and forth a few times and just pressing firmly into the feet. So feet are lined up with the angle of your legs. And then at some point, we're going to come down and hold this goddess position. All right, and then we're going to pick up left heel, right heel, both heels. And set your feet down, heel toe your feet together, come back to the top of your mat, Tadasana. Inhale, sweep arms up, exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. Find your feet. Inhale to come forward into the high Dandasana. So now we're gonna, all 10 toes should be turned under and press through your heels. Reach the heels back here, reach the heels back. Good. Options are drop to the knees and come down to your belly, or turn your toes under and come into upward facing dog. And no matter where you are, we're all going to meet on the belly. Turn the toes under, tops of the feet to the floor. Feel an evenness through the tops of your feet pressing into the floor. Great, and then with hands under shoulders, press into the tops of your feet and lift baby cobra. And exhale, come back down. And now turn your toes under one more time and either come through table or straight up through chaturanga and back into the Dandasana shape. Lift your back towards the ceiling, toes are turned under, and then hips bring you back, downward facing dog. Now, once again, look at your feet, lift your toes, or intend to lift your toes off the floor. And set them back down. And now walk mindfully to the top of your mat. Okay, and now you're going to come into a sort of wide squat, like so. Okay, and you're going to bring your weight into your toes and have your hands underneath you. So if you can look up here and see me, I'll try a couple different angles. Pressing your arms into your legs and your legs back into your arms. Good. On the inhale, you'll lift your hips and you keep up on your toes, and on the exhale, you'll come back down to that squat. And the heels are lifted. I'll turn a little bit this way. The heels are lifted the entire time. So inhale, lift the hips, and exhale, come back into the squat. Inhale, lift the hips, and exhale, back to the squat. Now you could play around with this. You could change it up a bit, and inhale, lift the hips, drop the heels. That's more like a Uttanasana shape, right? And then come back up onto the toes and drop the hips down. Inhale, pressing up, and exhale, coming down. Good. Just a couple more times, or 20 times if you're up for it. And you feel some stretch in your calf, Achilles tendon. And the last time, we'll just rest in that squat up on our toes. So pressing your elbows into your legs, legs back into elbows. Good. Pressing and keeping, and you'll feel your toes and ankles working here to keep you balanced. That's what we want. That's a good thing. Good. And then we'll slowly set our hips down to the mat. You can take yourself all the way down to your back now. Keep your knees bent. Rest your knees together, arms out to the side. See if you can rest in the upper leg, the hip flexor, but feel your feet again. Feel for your feet completely even on the floor. Completely even on the floor. Great. Now separate your knees. Line your feet up so that you could just reach your back of your heels with your fingers. So we're going into a bridge, but we're going to pay a little bit more attention to our feet. So arms could be upper arms into the floor with your lower arms perpendicular to the floor and your fingers pointing towards the ceiling, robot arms. Or you could start here and then wrap your shoulders underneath. But what I want you to think about with the feet is this. Press into your soles of your feet here. Isometrically draw your feet away from each other. Draw your heels isometrically back towards your booty. Now press into your feet evenly as you lift your hips. And either you can keep the arms here, you could even put a block under your sacrum if you'd rather just do a restorative bridge, or you can roll to one side, pull one shoulder blade underneath, pull the other shoulder blade underneath, interlace the hands, and don't lose the feet. So what happens is often then the feet quit working. So keep pressing into the feet, keep isometrically drawing them apart and back towards the midline, the middle of your body.
And then release your pinky fingers, press your outside edge of your hands into the floor as you lift into this bridge. All right? Pressing into the feet, feel, lift all 10 toes. As you're pressing into the big toe mound, pinky toe side mound, heel evenly, weight inside and outside of feet is even. Now set down your big toes, and then all the toes. Reach them away and separate them. Ah, very nice. Good. And then press your heels up. Lift your heels up so you're on your toes. Reach your arms straight up towards the ceiling. And roll yourself down one vertebra at a time. One vertebra at a time. Really feel how delicious that feels for the spine. And then you can take a twist if that would feel nice for your body, or happy baby, or you can just come right to Shavasana. And just begin to receive the work. So no more effort, you're just receiving now as you slowly the practice down. And then coming back to the Shavasana shape if you're not already there. With intention, placing the center of your heel onto the floor, then letting the feet fall out. Relaxing through the toes. Arms to the side, palms up. You can press into the back of your head and tuck one shoulder blade under the other under. Inhaling into a soft belly. And let your eyes close down and relax the muscles around your eyes. Release the space between your brow. Release your tongue. Let your tongue fill the bottom palate, the lower palate. Let your tongue rest in the lower palate. And see if you can relax your tongue all the way back to the root of your tongue. And with the corners of your mouth, just slightly pull the corners of your mouth up. So you feel a slight smile through your mouth. Lift the outside corners of your eyes, so you're smiling through your eyes. And then take your hands to your heart center, placing one on top of the other. Soften your hands. Soften your feet. Bring your awareness to the vibration and sensation and pulsation through your feet. Naming something for which you are grateful today. Stay in Shavasana as long as you like, or come back to your seat. And bringing your hands in front of your heart center in a gesture of prayer that feels right for you. Why alignment matters. It matters for our physical structure, but it also matters in how we show up. It matters how we stand in the world. It matters how we walk through the world.
It matters how we dance in the world. So may the merit of our practice encourage all of us to stand in a way that feels right for us, to walk in the way that feels right for us, that it's right amount of effort, connection. And may the merit of our practice encourage all beings to continue to unveil all the hidden brilliance that lies within us. Namaste.